I remember the exact moment I realized I had won everything and lost everything that mattered. I was standing in my penthouse on the 42nd floor, champagne in my hand, city lights below me. My phone was ringing. It was my daughter. I let it go to voicemail. That was the last call she ever made to me. I'm 79 years old now, and I want to tell you something that no amount of money ever taught me. I grew up in a small house in Columbus, Ohio. My father worked at a steel mill for 31 years. My mother cleaned houses on weekends. We weren't poor, but we weren't comfortable either. I wore the same pair of shoes for 2 school years in a row. I swore. I swore to myself that I would never live like that. I would never let my kids feel that quiet embarrassment of not having enough. So I worked. God, I worked. I got into a state school on a partial scholarship. I studied accounting. I graduated at the top of my class. I got hired at a firm in Chicago, and that's where I met Richard Holt. Richard was the kind of man who walked into a room and made everyone else feel like they were in the wrong place. He saw something in me. He pulled me aside after a meeting one afternoon and said, "You're too smart to be working for someone else. Let's build something." Fire. That one conversation changed everything, and eventually destroyed everything too. By 1987, Richard and I had built a small real estate investment firm. We were buying distressed properties, flipping them, renting them. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. And by 1995, we weren't small anymore. We had over 200 properties across 4 states. My net worth hit the seven-figure mark, $1 million. I drove home that night, parked in the driveway, and just sat there, crying. Not from happiness, from something I couldn't name yet. My wife, Carol, came out to the car. She knocked on the window. She said, "Daniel, are you okay?" I looked at her. Beautiful woman. Patient woman. She'd been waiting for me to come home for years. I said, "I'm fine. I just need a minute." That minute lasted another 15 years. When the money started flowing, I told myself it was all for them. For Carol. For our daughter Emma. For our son Marcus. That's what every man like me tells himself. It's the greatest lie we tell. Fire. We say we're building for our family, but we're really building a wall between us and them. I missed Emma's first dance recital. I was in Dallas, closing a deal on a 48-unit apartment complex. I missed Marcus's Little League championship game. I was on a call with investors in New York. I missed Carol's 40th birthday dinner. I was in Dubai. I wasn't absent because I didn't love them. I was absent because I had convinced myself the money was the love, that the house I was building them, the cars, the vacations we took once a year, that was love. Carol tried to tell me. She was gentle about it at first. She'd leave little notes on the kitchen counter. "The kids miss you." Emma cried again tonight. "Can we please have one weekend, just us?" I'd read them. I'd feel a pang in my chest. And then my phone would ring, and I'd answer it. By 2001, we had built a property management empire. I was worth $12 million. We had a 6,000 square foot home in Naperville. Emma was 16. Marcus was 13. They were growing up, and I was somewhere else. Fire. The worst part? I didn't even feel guilty anymore. I had stopped feeling it. That should have terrified me. Emma was 18. She was leaving for college, Princeton. I had fought hard for that. I'd talked to admissions officers. I'd written a check for a new computer lab. The morning she left, I carried her boxes to the car. Carol was crying. Marcus was standing there, pretending not to cry. Emma hugged her mother for a long time. Then she turned to me. She hugged me. Briefly. Politely. Like you hug a distant relative at Thanksgiving. Fire. My own daughter hugged me like I was a stranger. And the truth is, I was. I stood in the driveway and watched them drive away, Carol taking Emma to school. And I went back inside, poured a cup of coffee, and called the office. Because I didn't know what else to do. Work was the only language I spoke fluently. Over the next few years, things with Carol began to crack. Not dramatically. Not screaming and throwing things. Just a slow, cold distance. We slept in the same bed, but faced opposite walls. We ate dinner together, but talked about nothing. She asked me once, and I remember this so clearly. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, and she said, "Daniel, do you even like me anymore?" I said, "Of course I do. What kind of question is that?" She nodded slowly, picked up her fork, and didn't say another word. In 2006, Carol filed for divorce. I didn't fight it, and I think that's what broke her the most. Fire. I had so much money that I paid lawyers to handle the end of my marriage like a business transaction. That's how far gone I was. After the divorce, I threw myself into work with everything I had. I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know how to sit with pain. So I bought more properties, hired more people, expanded into commercial real estate. By 2010, I was worth $30 million. I had a penthouse in Chicago, a vacation home in Scottsdale, a BMW 7 Series, a personal chef 3 nights a week. I ate dinner alone every single night. Fire $30 million. And I would have traded every cent of it for one real conversation with my daughter. Emma rarely called. When she did, our conversations were short, polite, professional. She'd gotten married. I'd been invited to the wedding but seated in the back, not at the family table. That image still lives inside me. Sitting in the 4th row at my own daughter's wedding, watching her dance with her new father-in-law because I had never taught her to dance. Marcus was different, more forgiving, but even he had limits. He stopped calling around 2012. I found out later that Carol had gotten sick, breast cancer, and Marcus had been her primary support. She'd specifically asked him not to tell me. She didn't want me there. That's when it finally broke through. The wall I'd spent decades building. It cracked. Carol passed in 2014. I wasn't at the hospital. Light bulb. The day after Carol's funeral, which I attended alone, sitting in the back, watching my children grieve without me, I went back to my penthouse, poured myself a whiskey, stood at the window looking at the city. And for the first time in my life, I had absolutely nothing to distract me. No deal to close. No call to make. No property to buy. Just me. And the silence. And the truth. Fire in that silence. I heard the sound of 40 years of choices. And they were all screaming at me. I picked up my phone. I scrolled to Emma's name. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put the phone down. I wasn't ready. And I didn't know if she'd answer. But something had shifted inside me. Something that couldn't shift back. Over the next 6 months, I wrote Emma a letter. 43 pages. Handwritten. No excuses. No justifications. Just the truth as clearly as I could speak it. Everything I should have said over 30 years. Every moment I missed. Every time I chose the phone over the family. I mailed it. I didn't expect a response. 3 weeks later, she called. She said, "Dad." Just that word. And I started crying in a way I hadn't cried since I was a child. Here's what I know now, at 79 years old, with more money than I'll ever spend and more regret than I'll ever outlive. The market doesn't care if you miss your daughter's recital. The deal will always be there tomorrow. Your child's childhood will not. Success is not the enemy of family. Obsession is. I was obsessed, not with money itself, but with what money represented to that little boy in Columbus who wore the same shoes for 2 years. I was trying to erase him. And in doing so, I erased myself from the lives of the people I loved most. Fire, you can rebuild a business. You cannot rebuild time. You cannot rebuild trust with a grown child who learned to stop needing you. Emma and I speak now. It's not what it could have been. We're still finding our way. Some doors, once closed for too long, don't open all the way anymore. We accept that. Marcus and I had coffee last spring. He's 36 now, has kids of his own, my grandchildren, who barely know my name. That's the price I paid. If you're watching this and you're working 80-hour weeks telling yourself it's for them, please, stop. Look at your kids right now. Look at your spouse. Look at whoever it is you keep saying you're doing this for. Go be with them. Today. Not after the next deal. Not when the business is stable. Today. The $1 million will not hold your hand when you're lying in a hospital bed. I built a $1 million life. And I lost my family in the process. Don't make my mistake. It's not worth it. I promise you. It's not worth it. Yapuri script hi. Copy car socked Hosida 11 labs. Yajishi B AI voice tool main. Flex biceps.